find this wicked witch, steal her wand, I'll get that big pile of gold, and you can have a nice pile of bananas, all right?
Bananas? Oh, I see. Because I'm a monkey, I must love bananas, right? That is a vicious stereotype.
You like bananas?
Of course I love bananas. I'm a monkey. Don't be ridiculous. I just don't like you saying it.
Peter, how great and powerful was this for you?
I thought it was reasonably great, reasonably powerful. There's something about that L. Frank Baum world of Oz which I find fascinating and strange for about 5 minutes, but then there's something about it which also becomes very claustrophobic, and I just wanted to stop. I find it almost airless. I can't breathe in that world. But it has to be said, I found it very boisterous and interesting, and I kind of like James Franco, actually. I thought he was kind of well cast. I mean, lots of people, I would imagine, will just find that he rubs them up the wrong way.
Well, he's supposed to be irritating.
Yeah, he is supposed to, and I think he's irritating in the right way. I think he's irritating in a very shrewdly judged way. I think, as it were, Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't have been right, and I think James Franco kind of is right. I'm not sure I can recommend it any further than that, though, because, as I say, I just found myself clawing at my clothes after a while because I just can't breathe in that world. I can't breathe, and it is quite a long movie at 130 minutes.
Andrew, did you run wild in Oz, free-spirited and barefoot?
You know, spiritually maybe. I mean, my sort of take on it is that it is very much in the tradition of the sort of modern CGI blockbuster, and that's what Raimi has sort of been doing for the last few years, and he does a massive number on this as well. I feel slightly differently towards the sort of Oz thing than Peter does. I mean, I always found that the sort of status of The Wizard of Oz as this kind of modern classic, I find a bit strange, and that the actual story itself, I think, is very odd, very eccentric, and its status is very little to do with its story. It's more to do with the way people feel about, you know, the young Judy Garland, and it's the film itself. And other great iconic classics tend to have much more to do with history or politics than, you know, Casablanca or It's a Wonderful Life or whatever, than this film does.
It's a fantasy spun out of the Great Depression, isn't it? And the Dust Bowl and all of that. So all of that is kind of noises off. That gives it some kind of
that's its
anchoring.
context, but just in terms of itself, I personally find it quite difficult to sort of love the story of the original and of this. It just seems a bit sort of random and just sort of some guy muttering in the dark.
It is weird.
You know?
It is very weird.
So that's why I sort of find the idea of making a sort of prequel of it now slightly sort of baffling. It also shows the sort of indification of the blockbuster more than ever. You know, all the cast in it are people who you know, 5 years ago you never see anywhere near a film like this, and I think it's been a deliberate decision to sort of pick these sort of non-blockbuster people to play these roles, and you know, particularly Michelle Williams, who was sort of last film I saw in was Meek's Cutoff or something. You know, I suppose My Week with Marilyn as well. And you know, Franco, God's sake, you know, he spends all half his time doing these sort of arts project films, which of dubious sort of success. So
did the unnervingly sexy indie witches do it for you?
I'm not sure what to think about that. There is a kind of political correctness debate to be had, really, about this movie. The dodgy witches, the questionable witches, they get to be the exotic ones. They're Mila Kunis and Rachel Weisz. They look dark and
European.
And European and dodgy, whereas it's wholesome, corn-fed, blonde Michelle Williams, who's Glinda, the good witch.
Again, though, that's taking its lead from the 1939 film.
Yeah, I could have done with less of a lead from The Happy World of 1939.
Of Jim Crow.
To be quite honest with you, yeah. And the other thing that Oz, the Great and Powerful, didn't try to do, of course, as Andrew has hinted at, is music. I mean, so much of what is so powerful about The Wizard of Oz is the music, is those classic songs, whereas they don't even, really, that's not even attempted. That's nothing to do with it. And that's part of what makes it quite a weird experience, is you just get to focus on this weird and, for me, slightly oppressive world of Oz.